isang aerosol factory sa Mexico.
May mga nasaktan kaya ng mga trabahador at iba pa mula sa pagsabog. Ang mga susunod na pangyayari, aming idedetalye, maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. Ito po ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Biyernes.
Department of National Defense nirepaso ang mga kasunduan ng Pilipinas sa ibang bansa hindi kumikilala sa West Philippine Sea.
Abogado ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte hinamon ang jurisdiksyon ng International Criminal Court.
United States Central Intelligence Agency naglunsad ng kampanya laban sa Chinese Communist Party.
Estados Unidos pinayuhan ang India at Pakistan na mag-usap.
At 7 estudyante sa Japan inararo ng kotse. Masusing pinag-aaralan ng Department of National Defense sa mga kasunduang pinasok ng Pilipinas kasama ang ibang mga bansang hindi kumikilala sa jurisdiksyon ng bansa sa West Philippine Sea.
Kasama rin dito ang mga bansa na hindi sumusuporta sa foreign policy position ng Pilipinas. Ayon kay Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr., sinisilip na ng mga eksperto ang pakinabang ng Pilipinas sa mga naturang mga kasunduan. Partikular na rito ang sa defense sector at foreign affairs. Pinoproseso na rin anya ang pagrepaso sa mga ito at inaasahan na maglalabas ang ahensya ng karagdagang impormasyon ukol dito sa mga susunod na araw. Inaasahan na rerapasuhin ng ahensya ang nasa 50 defense agreements at memorandum of understanding dahil sa mistulang wala umanong benepisyong maidudulot sa Pilipinas. Sa kasalukuyan, ang Pilipinas ay may aktibong defense and military alliance sa Japan, New Zealand, Estados Unidos, Australia at iba pa.
Nakapag-monitor ang Philippine Coast Guard o PCG ng kabuang 10,000 umano'y trolls na kumukontra sa mga claims ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea. Kinumpirma ni PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, na karamihan sa mga trolls ay nagpapakalat ng disinformation. Nagpapakilalaan niya ang mga ito bilang mga influencers o kaya mga initiators, disseminators at maging reporters. Tinukoy din ni Tariela na partikular na content ng mga umano'y trolls ay ang naratibong walang legal na basis ang Pilipinas sa pag-angkin nito sa West Philippine Sea at ito rin umano ang may pakana sa tumitinding tensyon sa rehiyon. Ipinupunto rin ng mga trolls na ang Estados Unidos umano ang promotor sa laban ng Pilipinas para sa WPS. Ayon pa kay Tariela, ang mga trolls ding ito ang mismong umaatake sa mga government officials ng bansa na may advokasiyang isulong ang posisyon ng bansa sa WPS.
Hinamon ng mga abogado ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang jurisdiksyon ng International Criminal Court o ICC kaugnay sa kasong crimes against humanity na isinampalaban sa kanya dahil sa madugong war against drugs ng dating administrasyon. Sa isinumite na defense challenge ng abogado ni Duterte sa ICC nitong 1 ng Mayo, iginit ni Attorney Nicholas Kaufman at Dr. Dov Jacobs na hindi na maaaring gamitin ng korte ang jurisdiksyon nito sa Pilipinas. Kumalas na kasi ang Pilipinas sa Rome Statute noong March 17, 2019, kaya't wala na raw itong legal na basehan. Pinuna rin nila ang pagbanggit sa Article 1272 ng Rome Statute na anilay hindi dapat ipatupad sa kaso ni Duterte. Pero ayon sa ICC, may jurisdiction pa rin ito sa mga krimeng naganap habang miyembro pa ang Pilipinas. Dagdag pa ng ICC, may matibay na ebidensya sila laban sa dating Pangulo. Inaresto si FPRRD noong March 11, 2025 pagdating niya sa Pilipinas galing Hong Kong.
Kinumpirma naman ng Malacanang na sinimulan na ng Local Water Utilities Administration ang investigasyon kaugnay sa kinasangkutang kontrobersya ng Prime Water, ang kumpanyang pag-aari ng pamilya Villar. Ayon kay Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro, ipinag-utos ito ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. kasunod ang mga reklamo ng maraming customers ng naturang water service providers. Nilinaw naman ni Castro na hindi pa mumulitika ang direktiba ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. na paimbestigahan ang nasabing kontrobersya.
We cannot expect anything nice or any nice word from the Vice President in favor of the President and of the present administration. She will always use that excuse or defense of pamumulitika without really answering or responding directly to the issues.
Tinukoy din ni Castro na hindi dapat baliwalain ng gobyerno ang mga hinaing ng mga Pilipino, lalo na sa hindi magandang serbisyo ng nasabing water service company.
Umarangkada ng final testing at sealing sa mga automated counting machines na gagamitin para sa May 12 polls sa Pateros Elementary School. Ayon kay COMELEC Chairperson George Garcia, layo ng testing na malaman kung gumagana ang mga makina ng mga counting machines. Kabilang sa mga iprinisenta sa FTS ay ang pagbukas sa makina, pag-imprenta ng zero initialization report, close voting at pag-imprenta ng election returns. Pagkatapos ng testing sa mga makina ay sinelyuhan naman ang mga ACM at dinala sa secure na lugar kung saan bubuksan lamang sa mismong araw ng halalan.
Good news naman para sa mga motorista dahil inaasahang magpapatupad ang tapyas presyo ang mga oil industry firms sa produktong petrolyo sa susunod na linggo. Batay sa estimates ng 4-day trade, inaasahang bababa ng 25 sentimos hanggang 60 sentimos ang presyo kada litro ng gasolina. 30 sentimos hanggang 80 sentimos naman ang rollback sa presyo kada litro ng diesel, habang 50 sentimos hanggang 60 sentimos ang magiging bawas sa presyo kada litro ng kerosene o gas. Ayon po sa Department of Energy Oil Industry Management Bureau, may ambaga ang sobra-sobrang supply ng US crude sa pagbagsak ng presyo ng oil products.
Formal ng sinampahan ni Senadora Amy Marcos ng mga kasong kriminal at administratibo ang ilang opisyal ng Marcos administration sa Office of the Ombudsman. Kasama sa mga sinampahan ng kasong graft and corruption, arbitrary detention at grave threat, sina DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla, DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla, PNP Chief General Romel Marbil, CIDG Director Major General Nicolas Torre at Special Envoy Marcos Lacanilao. Personal na isinumite ng Presidential Sister ang findings ng Chairman's Report of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations sa Ombudsman. At sinabi niya na batay sa nasabing report ay maraming nilabag na batas ang mga nabanggit na opisyal. Sinabi rin ni Senadora Amy na tinangay patungong dahig si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte matapos itong arestuhin sa Pilipinas. Tiwalaan niya siya sa Ombudsman na mapapanagot nito ang mga respondents upang mabigyan ng hustisya ang pagpapadala sa International Criminal Court kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte.
Natuklasan ng komite ang paglalabag sa batas, sa saligang batas, at marahil may criminal and administrative culpabilities ang ibang napakatataas na opisyal. Kaya kinakailangan tuluyang imbestigahan at patawan ng parusa kung kinakailangan itong mga opisyal na ito.
Susunod, CIA direktang tinatarget ang CCP.
Unang May Day ng pangalawang termo ni Donald Trump sinalubong ng malawakang protesta.
At White House Cabinet nakaranas ng major shake-up. Iba pang detalye ng mga balita, pagbabalik ng mata ng Agila International.
Trask?
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner.
Naglunsad ang Central Intelligence Agency o CIA ng Estados Unidos ng isang social media campaign na nananawagan sa mga opisyal ng Chinese Communist Party na umanib sa US.
话说筑梦人生，可惜我是为他人之梦。这场梦中，我无法决定结局，我的命都由他人掌控。这辈子努力耕耘，最终都是他人作手。照理来说，中规中矩，努力低头做事，应该换来美好人生。这种例行的自我检讨，只让人看得荒谬。众所皆知的秘密是，领导们口口声声说要让人民过上好日子，但结果却全不是这么一回事。我不过就想平平安安的过日子，这要求并不过分吧？这一生这么努力工作，难道到头来都是为了别人而做？我能铺我自己想走的路吗？做与不做，答案昭然若揭。不能再站在原地不动，我拒绝躺平。要迈出第一步，总是最艰难的。是时候该构筑我自己的梦想了。
Ang dalawang video na ipinalabas kamakailan lang ay naghihikayat sa mga opisyal ng gobyerno ng Beijing na pumanig sa Washington upang magbigay ng importanteng impormasyon ukol sa China. Maririnig sa video na inilalarawan ng isang opisyal ng CCP ang takot na kanyang nadarama para sa kanyang pamilya dahil sa opresibong pamamalakad ng China sa kanilang gobyerno. Matagal nang nababalot sa kontrobersiya ang CCP dahil sa madalas itong gawain na gawing desaparecidos ang mga opisyal at pamilya ng mga taong kanilang naituturing na wala ng silbi sa loob ng kanilang partido. Naalarma rin ang lahat kung saan nakapaloob din sa video ang pamamaraan na maiko-contact ang CIA sa ligtas na pamamaraan gamit ang isang dark web browser na hindi mapapansin ng Chinese firewall protocols. Sa ngayon ay wala pang inilalabas na komento ang China ukol sa ipinalabas na kampanya ng Estados Unidos.
Pinayuhan ng US ang India at Pakistan na mag-usap para hindi na lumala ang tensyon. May kaugnay nito sa naganap na militant attack sa Kashmir region noong nakaraang linggo na ikinasawi naman ng 26 na sibilyan. Pinangunahan ni US Secretary Marco Rubio ang hiwalay ng pakikipag-usap sa Foreign Minister ng India at Prime Minister ng Pakistan.
Regarding the Kashmir situation, India and Pakistan, that he said we are reaching out to both parties telling, of course, them to not escalate the situation. The Secretary expects to speak with the foreign ministers of Pakistan and India as early as today or tomorrow. He is encouraging other national leaders, other foreign ministers, to also reach out to the countries on this issue. So it is, again, as I've noted, every day action is being taken. In this case, the Secretary speaking directly to his counterparts in India and Pakistan, we expect certainly the impact he's usually had with the individuals he's spoken with, and certainly with President Trump's leadership, India and Pakistan, having those conversations. It's very important for them.
Mula na sumiklab ang gulo ay hinigpitan ng dalawang bansa ang kanilang borders. Pinagbawalan din ng India sa kanilang airspace sa mga eroplano ng Pakistan. Inaakusahan kasi ng India ang Pakistan na sumusuporta sila sa mga militants na siyang responsable sa pag-atake sa bayan ng Pahalgam. Mariing itinanggi naman ng Pakistan ang alegasyong ito ng India.
और अगर कोई एक कायराना हमला कर ये समझता है कि हमारी बड़ी जीत है, तो एक बात मन से समझ लीजिए, ये नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार है, किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा, किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। इस देश की इंच इंच भूमि पर से आतंकवाद को मूल समेत उखाड़ने का हमारा संकल्प है और वो सिद्ध होकर रहे।
Nagsampa ng kasong kriminal ang isang negosyante laban kay Davao City 1st District Representative Paulo Duterte dahil sa umano'y aligasyon ng physical assault at grave threats. Ang kaso ay inihain ni John Patria kasunod ng isang insidente sa isang establishment sa Davao City kinaumagahan ng February 23, 2025. Batay sa official documents na isinumite ng Department o sa Department of Justice, bandang alas 3 ng umaga nagkaroon ng away sa isang bar sa sulok ng Villamor at Soberecari Street sa Barangay Obrero. Nakapangalap naman ng Filipina National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group ng mga ebidensya kasama na ang CCTV footage mula sa nasabing establishmento. Formal namang inendorso ang kaso sa National Prosecution Service ng Justice Department para sa ebalwasyon. Sa ngayon po, walang ibinibigay na pahayag ang kampo ni Representative Duterte hinggil sa nasabing issue.
Much better. Yan ang paglalarawan ng isang economic analyst sa minerals agreement na nilagdaan ng Kiev at ng Washington. Narito ang balita mula kay Chantal Santos.
Ayon kay Center for Economic Strategy Senior Economist Volodymyr Landa, much better o mas maayos na ang bagong minerals deal sa pagitan ng US at Ukraine na nilagdaan ng dalawang bansa kamakailan.
Нарешті можна констатувати, що угода, яка не була підписана в останній день лютого, нарешті підписана в останній день квітня. І текст цієї угоди набагато кращий, ніж абсолютна більшість попередніх версій, які ми бачили.
Ayon pa kay Landa, mahusay ang ginawang pakikipagnegosasyon ng Ukrainian team na anyay nauwi sa balanseng kasunduan.
Версії були від абсолютно рамочних до абсолютно неприйнятних. Найгірші з них нагадували чи то мародерство, чи то колоніальну угоду. І, на щастя, українська переговорна група здійснила фантастичну роботу і фактично привела цей документ до вигляду нормальної, збалансованої комерційної угоди, від якої обидві сторони можуть.
Ang kasunduan na nilagdaan sa Washington ay isinulong ng matindi ni Pangulong Donald Trump. Binubuo nito ang isang joint investment fund para sa pagbangon ng Ukraine habang susubukan ng US na makabuo ng peace settlement ukol sa Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ipinagkakaloob din ng kasunduan sa US ang preferential access sa bagong Ukraine minerals projects. Mahalaga ito sa pagsisikap ng Ukraine na makipag-ayos kay Trump. Chantal Santos para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Tuluyan na binitay ng Iran ang isang spy na ipinadala umano na Mossad Intelligence Agency ng Israel.
השנה אולי יותר מתמיד קולה של צפירת הזיכרון הזאת הוא גם קול של אזעקת אמת שמצווה עלינו להתאחד ולהתלכד, לא להיקרע מבפנים, לא להחריב את הבית.
Si Moshen Lagarneshin ay binitay dahil sa pamamahagi ng mga technical, logistical and operational support sa Mossad sa loob ng 2 taon. Mula pa noong taong 2020 nang magsimula si Lagarneshin na mangalap ng mga sensitibong impormasyon. Sangkot din siya sa pagpaslang kay Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Colonel Sayad Koday noong May 2022. Dagdag pa ng Iran, inamin nito ang nasabing pakikipagtulungan sa Israel.
אני פונה עליכם מכאן, אל אחינו שבידי המרצחים. עם שלם חסר אתכם, דואג לכם, זועק את זעקתכם. עם שלם מיוסר עד אין קץ. עם שלם יודע בכל נימי נפשו
Nanindigan sa Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu na ang prioridad nila ay ang talunin ng kalaban kaysa sa pakawalan ang mga bihag.
מאז מתקפת שמחת תורה, טבח ה-7 באוקטובר, משרתי צה"ל וזרועות הביטחון מתגלים במלוא תפארתם. הם מסתערים על מבקשי נפשנו בכל החזיתות. הם לוחמים כאריות להשגת הניצחון. הם מוסרים את נפשם כדי ליצור את התנאים להחזרת חטופינו היקרים שנמצאים כל הזמן לנגד עינינו. השבתם הביתה היא משימה קדושה, לא נרפה ממנה. כולם מבינים מול מי אנחנו נלחמים ועל מה אנחנו נלחמים.
Bagamat hindi niya ipinagkakaila na target nilang makalaya rin ang natitirang 59 na mga bihag ng Hamas, ay mahalaga sa gyera ang talunin ang mga kalaban. Ito ang unang pagkakataon na binanggit ni Netanyahu sa Independence Day ng Israel na pumapangalawa na ngayon sa mga prioridad ang pagpapalaya sa mga bihag.
לרפיח המתפוררת ועד פסגת החרמון הנשגבת, הדור הזה מבין היטב מה מוטל על הכף. בנינו ובנותינו אינם מוכנים להבליג על מה שחוללו המפלצות שתקפו אותנו לפני 1.5 שנה. הם נחושים לבוא חשבון עם מבצעי הטבח והזוועות. וגם ברגעים האלו ממש הם מסכנים עצמם כדי ליצור את התנאים להשבת כל חטופינו ולניצחון על אויבינו. בזכות גבורת לוחמינו שברנו את טבעת החנק של אויבינו. עשינו זאת בדרום, בצפון, ביהודה ושומרון וגם בחזיתות נוספות.
Umani naman ng negatibong mga komento ang pahayag na ito ni Netanyahu, lalo na sa mga pamilya ng mga bihag. Magugunit ang maraming bansa na ang nanawagan na dapat ay ipatupad ang pangmatagalang ceasefire at ang pagpapalaya sa mga bihag.
Iniulat ng United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency o UNRWA ang umano'y pangaharang ng libo-libong air trucks sa Gaza Strip para sa mga biktima ng Israel-Palestine War. Ayon sa naturang ahensya, halos 3,000 aid trucks ang nakalinya sa Gaza border ang hindi makapasok sa naturang lugar dahil sa 2 buwang blockade na unang ipinataw ng Israel. Dahil po dito, sinabi ng UN agency na lalo pang lumalala ang kagutuman sa naturang lugar kung saan marami sa mga bata, nakatatanda at mga kababaihan ang labis na apektado.
Tom Fletcher, our emergency relief coordinator, said in a statement that the hostages in Gaza must be released, but international law is unequivocal. As the occupying power, Israel must allow humanitarian support in. Aid and the civilian lives it saves should never be a bargaining chip, he said. Mr. Fletcher underscored that the humanitarian movement is independent, it's impartial, and it's neutral, and he believes that all civilians are equally worthy of protection. But as the UN Secretary General has made it clear, the latest modality proposed by Israeli authorities does not meet the minimum bar for principal humanitarian support. He called on the Israeli authorities to lift this brutal blockade and let humanitarians save lives. And as he told civilians of Gaza, we won't give up, even if the world has given you every reason to give up on us.
Ang 2 buwang blockade ay ang pinakamahabang closure na nangyari sa Gaza Strip simula noong nagsimula ang labanan ng Israel at Palestine ilang taon nang nakalilipas. Nitong nakalipas na araw, kasabay na nagpapatuloy ang blockade at tinuloy din na umano ng Israel ang pambobomba sa ilang bahagi ng Gaza katulad ng Deir el-Balah at al-Mawasi, 2 lugar sa timog ng bahagi ng Strip.
Today, our humanitarian partners estimate that more than 423,000 people have been displaced once again with no safe place to go in Gaza. With most commodities unavailable, attacks on humanitarian convoys and looting are increasing. There were 2 incidents in Gaza City yesterday. This not only, of course, endangers the lives of aid workers, but it also disrupts aid operations and hurts those people who are meant to receive the aid. The World Health Organization and its partners report that severe shortages of vital medicines and medical equipment.
Samantala sa South America, nagkakasabay na nagmarcha ang mga demonstrador bilang pagkilala sa International Labor Day. Alamin natin kay John Malari kung saan-saang lungsod nagprotesta ang mga mamamayan mula sa iba't ibang bansa roon.
Sa Bogota, Colombia, libo-libo ang nagrally para sa social reforms na mungkahi ng pamahalaan ni Gustavo Petro. Kabilang dito ang pagpapaiksi ng linggo ng pagtatrabaho na sa ngayon ay nakatenga sa parlamento dahil sa deadlock.
Conmemorar una fecha tan especial como es el Día del Trabajo, un día que los trabajadores en el mundo celebramos porque nos permite manifestar todas nuestras posiciones políticas y sociales a la comunidad, nuestro inconformismo o por supuesto en este momento de felicidad en Colombia, nuestro respaldo a los gobiernos progresistas alternativos que reconocen derechos.
Samantala, sa La Paz, Bolivia naman, nagmarcha ang mga manggagawa para sa mas mataas na sahod. Ayon sa mga ito, kulang ang mungkahing dagdag sweldo ni Pangulong Luis Arce sa gitna ng nagmamahal na mga bilihin sa bansa.
Los trabajadores, los indígenas, las comunidades negras, diferentes sectores sociales, respaldamos las reformas sociales que este gobierno ha propuesto.
Sa Lima, Peru naman, nananawagan ng mga demonstrador para sa pagwawakas ng korupsyon. Hiling rin ng mga ito ang mas mabuting mga karapatan para sa mga manggagawa pati na ang mga sakop ng informal employment.
Basta ya de abusos, basta de vulnerar los derechos de los trabajadores, basta ya de que cada día el país se esté sumergiendo en la acción en que estamos viviendo una crisis política, una crisis de corrupción. Queremos vida digna y saludable y segura, no queremos más extorsión, más sicariato, ni más muerte de peruanos o peruanas, porque todos ellos son trabajadores.
El propio Ministerio de Trabajo habla de casi un 80% de trabajadores y trabajadoras en situación de informalidad que están en el sector de la economía informal, lo que significa que para ellos no hay derechos laborales, ¿no? O sea, prácticamente los derechos laborales en este país son el privilegio de unos pocos.
Jonna Malari para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Daang-daang mga tao sa Panama ang nagprotesta sa Ciudad de Panama laban sa isang memorandum na maaring magdagdag ng presensya ng militar sa Panama Canal. Narito pong report ni Sean Davila.
Ayon sa Panamanian Foreign Ministry, ang memorandum na pinaniniwala ang magdaragdag ng bilang ng puwersang militar ng US sa Panama Canal ay nilagdaan noong kalagitnaan ng Abril ni US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth at Panamanian Public Security Minister Frank Alexis Sabrero. Batay sa memorandum, pansamantalang idedestino ang US military personnel sa Panama para sa magkasamang security activities. Ayon sa mga demonstrador, ang kasunduang ito ay magpapahina sa soberanya ng Panama.
Protestamos también porque ha pisoteado la soberanía de las generaciones enteras que han luchado. Ha echado a la basura nuestra soberanía firmando un memorándum de entendimiento que permite la presencia militar extranjera en Panamá. ¡Abajo el memorándum! ¡Abajo el memorándum! ¡Panamá soberano!
Este pueblo pasó cerca de 70 años luchando para recuperar varias cosas. Primero, el canal. Segundo, la integridad territorial, porque nuestro territorio estaba partido en dos. Y tercero, para que se fuera la presencia militar extranjera de aquí. Esas tres conquistas nuestras parece que ahora están complicadas. ¿Por qué? Porque a este señor que gobierna los Estados Unidos se le ha antojado que el canal es de ellos y nada más ha tenido que tener en Panamá un presidente obediente y sencillamente este presidente ha llegado a entendimientos que ponen en riesgo la neutralidad del canal.
Tinapos ng US ang pagtatayo ng kanal sa unang bahagi ng ika-20 siglo, subalit ibinigay nito sa Panama ang pagkontrol ng napakalaga at estratehikong waterway noong 1999. Subalit mula noong Enero taong ito, ilang ulit nang binanggit ni US President Donald Trump na nais nitong bawiin ang kanal at dapat anyang libreng makatawid dito ang mga sasakyan ng Estados Unidos. Sean Davila para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Sa kabisera ng Estados Unidos, dumagsa ang mga demonstrador para sa May Day protest. Inireklamo nila ang pamamalakad ng administrasyon ni US President Donald Trump. Narito ang report ni Michelle Bergenilla.
Partikular na inireklamo ng May Day protesters sa Washington ang anilay malulupit na immigration policies ng administrasyong Trump.
We are fighting against this administration, against mass deportation, against ICE in our communities, and to bring Kilmer back home.
Nagmarcha ang mga demonstrador mula sa Franklin Park hanggang sa White House. Bitbit na mga ito ang mga karatula kasabay ng paghingi ng hustisya at proteksyon para sa mga manggagawa. Marami ang nagbigay diin sa kaso ni Kilmer Abrego Garcia, isang Salvadoran migrant na legal na naninirahan dito sa US, ngunit nagkamaling na i-deport sa El Salvador. Humarap sa rally ang asawa ni Abrego Garcia na si Jennifer Vasquez Sura.
The highest court in the nation ruled that Kilmer should be returned home. So why are they still waiting? Enough is enough. Bring him home.
Nagsalita rin sa rally sina Representatives Parmelia Jayapal ng Washington at Ilan Omar ng Minnesota.
And when immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do? When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do?
And today on International Workers' Day, we are not only here to celebrate labor's contributions, but to protect the dignity of labor from an administration that is determined to erase it.
Kawangis na mga demonstrasyon ang naganap sa buong bansa bilang protesta laban sa Trump administration nitong Mayo 1, isang araw na kinikilala bilang International Labor Day. Ana Cui para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Sa Los Angeles, California, nagsagawa ng kilos protesta ang mga reliyista upang ipanawagan ang umano'y maling gawain ng Trump administration na labag umano sa US Constitution. Narito pa report ni Leslie Gumarang.
Marami sa mga nagtipon sa downtown Los Angeles noong Huwebes para sa Labor Day protest ay may bitbit na mga karatulang nagsasaad ng suporta para sa mga migrante at paglaban naman sa anilay pasismo.
I know it's an international movement, right? It happens on an annual basis. I've never come out, but I decided, this year we got to stand up. We got to get out here with the people because, again, solidarity, the collective is the power that we need to really make things happen.
Nagmarcha ang mga demonstrador mula Crypto.com Arena papuntang Metropolitan Detention Center na isang federal prison.
Lo importante es que sepan que el pueblo no se vende, el pueblo se le respeta. Y eso es lo que tenemos que seguir haciendo, porque tarde o temprano ellos tienen que entender que nosotros somos los que soportamos este gobierno, por los taxes, por todo lo que pagamos. Y mientras ellos no se den cuenta de eso, nos van a tratar mal.
Nananawagan ng mga demonstrador sa ibang mga mamamayan na unawain ang nangyayari sa kasalukuyan na ayon sa kanila ay nagsasalangsang na konstitusyon ng bansa.
If it takes 4 years, we'll be out here 100 times, whatever it takes.
but more people should be out on the streets protesting. You don't understand what's happening, and the Constitution's being trampled on, and we need to take our rights back.
Leslie Gumarang para sa mata ng Agila International, Trusted, Connected, On Point.
Nakatakdang magbitiw sa kanyang pwesto si U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Ayon kay U.S. President Donald Trump, kasamang papalitan si Deputy National Security Advisor Alex Wong. Ipinagtanggol naman ni U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance ang naturang cabinet shuffle kung saan sinabi nitong ang hakbang na ito ay hindi nangangahulugang sisibakin si Waltz mula sa kanyang gabinete.
So he wasn't let go. He is being made ambassador to the United Nations, which of course is a Senate-confirmed position. I think you can make a good argument that it's a promotion. But we brought Mike on to do some serious reforms of the National Security Council. He has done that. I like Mike. I think he's a great guy. He's got the trust of both me and the president. But we also thought that he'd make a better UN ambassador as we get beyond this stage. So I think the media wants to frame this as a firing. Donald Trump has fired a lot of people. He doesn't give them Senate-confirmed appointments afterwards. What he thinks is that Mike Waltz is going to better serve the administration, most importantly the American people in that role, and I happen to agree with him.
Paglilinaw ni Trump, plano niyang italaga si Waltz bilang United Nations Ambassador. Ilan sa mga itinuturong dahilan ay ang kawalan na ng tiwala ni Trump kay Waltz dahil sa naging kontrobersiya nito sa hindi sinasadyang pag-leak ng classified information sa mga group chat at lalo na sa mga polisiya na kanyang ipinatupad. Itatalaga naman itong pamalit sa pwesto si U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Sa ngayon ay madaragdagan pang trabaho ni Rubio na tumatayong Secretary of State, Acting Administrator ng U.S. Agency for International Development o USAID at Acting Archivist ng White House.
Sinusuri naman ng Department of Government Efficiency ang United States International Development Finance Corporation o DFC, isang ahensyang itinatag sa panahon ng unang termino ni U.S. President Donald Trump. Isa po sa mga tampok na proyekto ng DFC ay ang Lobito Corridor, isang trans-African railway na layong magdala ng minerals mula Central Africa patungong Atlantic Coast. Tumutugon ang DFC sa pangangailangan ng mga private sector funding for development ng mga lower and middle-income countries. Layo ng investigasyon ng DOGE na matukoy kung umaayon pa rin ang mga gawain ng DFC sa mga kasalukuyang prioridad ng Administrasyong Trump. Bagamat maraming ahensya ang isinara ni Trump, naniniwala ang ilan sa gobyerno na posibleng hindi masama ang DFC dahil sa pagpapahalaga nito sa private sector funding bilang strategy laban sa impluwensya ng China. Patuloy namang nakikipagtulungan ng DFC sa DOGE upang ipakita ang pagiging efficient at makabuluhan ng kanilang operasyon.
Ibinaling ni U.S. President Donald Trump ang sisi ng pagbagsak ng ekonomiya sa pinalitan nitong si former President Joe Biden.
In the first quarter GDP numbers just out today, core GDP, now we're removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3%. But this is Biden's economy because we took over on January 20th. And I think you have to get us a little bit of time to get moving, but this is the Biden economy. But we still had and we've had a lot of things happen since November 5th that helped this economy.
Kasabay ng pagbaba ng kanyang approval rating ay sinabi nitong responsable pa rin ang nakarang administrasyon para sa pagbaba ng ekonomiya ng kanyang bansa. Sinabi nito ng pagbagsak ng ekonomiya ay walang kinalaman sa pagpapatupad nito ng mga taripa. Nagtala kasi ng negative 0.3% sa unang quarter na siyang pinakamababa sa isang quarterly review mula noong taong 2022. Git pa ni Trump na ang Biden stock market pa rin ang sisihin dahil formal lamang itong umupo sa pwesto noong Enero 20. Magugunitang nagpatupad ng mataas na taripa si Trump mula sa mga produkto ng iba't ibang mga bansa.
Core GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today. And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is the quarterly numbers. And we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country. We took over on January 20th. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. I know that, and I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some reports coming out, and I don't want that to happen to China. I like the president a lot, President Xi. I don't want it to happen. I was actually saddened to hear it, but they are getting absolutely hammered in China. And, you know, they're sending boats, the biggest boats in the world, carrying cargo like nobody's ever seen before. These are the biggest boats in the world, biggest cargo ships in the world. And they're coming and they're turning around in the Pacific Ocean. They're doing a big U-turn and going back because they don't want the goods because 145% tariff. But at a certain point, I hope we're going to make a deal with China. We're talking to China, but their factories are closing all over China because we're not taking their product. We don't want their product unless they're going to be fair with us. And that includes intellectual property and other things. There are a lot of things far beyond just buy, sell.
Susunod, isang acrobat nasa kritikal na kalagayan matapos ang isang death-defying stunt.
China maglalabas na rin ang sariling Robocop.
At royal couples ng UK at Sweden nagsama para sa isang tree planting ceremony. Mga detalye po ng mga balita niya at iba pa sa pagbabalik pa rin ng Mata ng Agila International.
Conquering the World, Inigo Pascual. Kung ano ang puno, siya rin din ang bunga at higit pa. Pero si Bagets hindi nagpaawat sa tayog ng karera. Pang-international tayo, di ba? Pinoy Pride, paano nga ba niya napasok? Ang Hollywood lang naman. May balak ba siyang iwanan ng karera sa Pilipinas para maging full-time Hollywood actor? Sa 10th year anniversary niya sa showbiz, may mga bagong pasabog si Inigo. Kiligin, makifanay at makijam tayo with Inigo Pascual. Dito lang yan sa Corina Interviews ngayong linggo, 6 p.m. sa NET25.
Sa NET25.
Sugatan ang 13 trabahador ng isang aerosol factory sa Jalisco State ng Mexico. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, nagdulot ng panic sa mga residente ang malakas sa pagsabog ng kanilang marinig ang ingay sa loob ng pabrika. Rumisponde naman ang mga bombero sa lugar para apulahin ang sunog. Dumating din ang taga-civil protection para umalalay sa mga nasaktan mula sa pagsabog. Iniligas na rin ang mga tao na malapit sa nasunog na factory dahil sa mabilis na pagkalat ng apoy. Iniimbestigahan na ng mga pulis ang sanhi ng insidente.
Samantala sa Japan, sugatan naman ang 7 estudyante sa Osaka matapos makaligtas sila sa pang-aararo ng isang kotse. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, pauwi ang mga ito galing eskwelahan ng intensyonal na salpukin sila ng sasakyan. Dinala ang mga estudyante sa ospital para mabigyan sila ng medikal na atensyon kung saan isa sa kanila ay nagtamo ng jaw injury. Nahuli naman ang mga pulis ang suspect na nakilala sa pangalang Yuki Yazawa. Tinitignan ng pulisya na isang kaso ito ng attempted murder kaysa sa reckless driving. Patuloy naman ang interogasyon ng mga pulis sa suspect para alamin ang motibo nito sa krimen.
Kritikal ang lagay ng isang circus acrobat sa Rusas, Brazil matapos mahulog sa taas ng 20 talampakan ng napigtal at nakakabit na safety cable sa kanyang katawan. Naganap ang trahedya sa gitna ng kanyang performance act habang sinusubukan itong lumambitin sa ere. Unang bumagsak sa sahig ang ulo ng circus acrobat na ikinabigla ng mga audience. Kaagad na nila ang performer sa ospital para sumailam sa surgery para pigilan ang internal bleeding sa kanyang katawan. Kasalukuyang inoobserbahan ng mga doktor ang lagay ng circus acrobat sa intensive care unit.
Gumamit na ng tear gas sa mga pulis para paalisin sa kalsada ang mga nakamaskarang rallyista sa Lyon, France. Nagkagirian ang mga tao nang magpumilit ang mga nagpoprotesta na umabante papasok sa lungsod. Nanawagan ng 8 pangunahing federasyon ng Union ng France sa mga manggagawa at sa publiko na sumali sa Labor Day March bilang pagsuportaan nila sa international peace at social justice. Tutol din ang mga rallyista sa lumalaking impluwensya ng far-right group sa gobyerno.
Isang flotilla galing Malta ang muntik nang lumubog matapos tamaan ng Israeli drones habang pumapalaot ito papuntang Gaza. Ayon sa Freedom Flotilla Coalition, ang naturang sasakyang pandagat ay maghahatid sana ng tulong papunta sa Gaza bago ito tamaan ng isang Israeli drone habang ito ay nasa international waters. Iniulat naman ng gobyerno ng Malta na nailigtas nila ang crew na nakasakay sa naturang flotilla na may pangalang Conscience bago nito tuluyang maapula ang sunog sa bangka. Nagpadala na rin ng Malta ng karagdagang bapor upang alalayan ang naturang pandagat o sasakyang pandagat. Sa isang video statement naman ay ikinuwento ni environmental activist Greta Thunberg ang kanyang naging karanasan kung saan sinabi niyang dapat ay sasakyan niya ang Conscience upang mag-abot ng tulong papunta sa Gaza.
Last night, midnight, a ship carrying humanitarian aid to Gaza was attacked by 2 drones on international waters off the coast of Malta. And 30 people were on board, and this attack caused an explosion and major damage to the vessel, which made it impossible to continue the mission. And these 30 people are okay, but it is still an emergency. And I was part of the group who was supposed to board that boat today to continue the voyage towards Gaza, which is one of many attempts to open up a humanitarian corridor and to do our part to keep trying to break Israel's illegal siege on Gaza.
Sa mga susunod na araw ay tataas ang presyo ng mga produktong ibinebenta sa Shein at Temu online stores. Ito ay matapos iutos ni US President Donald Trump na matatanggal na ang de minimis exemption ng 2 sa pinakapopular na Chinese retail stores. Pabor sa Shein at Temu ang nasabing tax exemption dahil magagamit nila ito upang magpadala ng mga produktong mababa ang presyo sa Estados Unidos na walang binabayarang duty o import tax. Pero ayon kina US President Donald Trump at former President Joe Biden, ginagamit daw ito ng ilang kumpanya para mag-smuggle ng droga at iba pang iligal na mga produkto papuntang Estados Unidos. Hindi naman naglabas ng komento ang Shein at Temu tungkol sa nawalang tax exemption.
Mga kabataang Pinoy na may tapang, talento at may makabagong ideya sa negosyo ang inaasahang gagawaran ng parangal sa idaraos na prestigious Asia CEO Awards. Umarangkada na ang nominasyon para sa nasabing pagbibigay parangal at magtatapos po ito sa August 15. Ang detalles report ni Mark De La Rosa.
Nagsimula na ang nominasyon para sa Asia CEO Awards, ang isa sa pinakaprestiyosong pagkilala sa larangan ng negosyo sa bansa. Taon-taon kinikilala nito ang mga natatanging leader at organisasyon na nagsusulong ng innovation, sustainability at transformational leadership sa iba't ibang industriya sa Pilipinas.
The
time has come. Philippines really is at the cusp of something big. It's projected to reach what they call upper middle income status over the next year or so. That's going to be big, and more companies from around the world will be looking to come here because of high growth and the high quality of the workforce.
Ngayong taon may 16 na award categories mula sa SME Company of the Year hanggang Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Lahat ay para kilalanin ang mga tunay na game changers sa business landscape. Tiwala sa kabataang Pilipino na may tapang, talento at makabagong ideya sa negosyo ang isa sa mga gagawaran ng parangal.
We're looking for the young Filipinos coming up with passion and drive and ability to create business and job opportunities and products that we can be very proud of. And we really hope to see that start in the Philippines.
Habang tungo sa pangangalaga sa kalikasan naman ang kikilalanin ng isang kumpanya.
So we're looking at green development, we're looking at doing green loans, we're pushing more for environmental awareness, companies to have a look at how they do their operations, how they do their businesses.
Samantala, isang parangal din ang ibibigay sa individual o kumpanya na may positibong ambag sa komunidad.
We're looking at actually as a company that is CSR focused, that aligns to our brand or to our values as well. It's a company that reinforcing sustainability and community welfare as well.
Ang deadline ng pagsusumite ng nominasyon ay hanggang August 15 at gaganapin naman ang parangal sa darating na October 14, 2025.
If you are doing something interesting, exciting, that's of interest to the nation and really shows it off, the judges want to hear about it. There's no cost. This is real. We've got impressive judges who have a lot at stake of their own credibility in how they judge the awards, and they want the best that Philippines has.
Mark De La Rosa, para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Inanunsyo ni Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg na kanilang ilulunsad ang bagong Artificial Intelligence or AI assistant and tool para po yan sa mga programmers and developers. Ayon kay Zuckerberg, ang bagong aplikasyon ay mula sa mas pinahusay na bersyon ng Llama model na Meta. Inaasahang sa susunod na quarter ng taong 2025 ay sisimulan na ng Meta ang paid subscription service nito.
Walang may gusto ng traffic dahil gusto po natin ay mabilis at safe tayong makarating sa ating pupuntahan. Kaya naman ang Sichuan Police sa China ay nag-deploy ng mga robot sa daan para tulungan ang mga pulis sa pagpapatrolya, pagsasaayos ng trapiko at pagpapatupad ng ilang batas. Naka-duty ang mga robots sa Mianyang mula alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 5 ng hapon. Tumutulong sila na mapanatiling maayos ang daloy ng trapiko.
利用它的伴随、无感盘查和自助巡防，还有非致命性处置等功能，在我们的商圈、还有人工湖和我们的科技城公园等地方常态化开展这个巡逻防控工作。
May 360 degrees na panoramic degree ang camera ng mga robots. Agad itong nakapag-transmit ng video in real time sa monitoring system ng mga pulis, kaya mabilis na nasosolusyonan ng mga otoridad ang ilang problema. Bilib naman ng mga residente sa mga robot officers dahil kaya ng mga ito na mag-ayos ng trapiko. Isa rin nila itong kahangahangang paraan para paalalahanan ng publiko na sundin ang mga batas trapiko.
Patungo na sa China ang National Women's Futsal Team ng bansa ng Pilipinas. Sasapak ang national team sa 2025 AFC Women's Futsal Asian Cup na gaganapin sa Hohhot, China. Kasabay din ito ay inilunsad ng Philippine Football Federation o PFF ang opisyal na pangalan ng futsal team ng bansa. habang ang men's futsal team ay mananatili sa Pilipinas para mag-ensayo. Pinangungunahan ni Spanish head coach Rafa Merino Rodrigo ang 15-member team ng mga atleta. Sa kasalukuyan ay nasa rank 55 sa buong mundo ang women's futsal team kung saan sila ay nahanay sa Group B. Kasama po dyan ang world number 9 na Iran, number 11 na Vietnam at world number 29 na Hong Kong. Ang Iran ay naging kampiyon na ng AFC noong taong 2015 at 2018, habang ang kasalukuyang kampiyon ng Southeast Asia ay ang Vietnam.
Sa isang bibihirang pagkakataon ay nagsama sa isang royal engagement sina King Charles ng United Kingdom at King Carl Gustaf XVI ng Sweden. Nagtanim ng oak tree ang dalawang hari kasama ang kanilang mga reyna na sina Queen Camilla at Queen Sylvia sa home park ng Windsor Castle. Pinagamit ni King Charles kay King Carl ang pala na unang ginamit ng kanyang great-grandfather na si King Gustavus V noong taong 1908. Hanggang ngayon ay buhay pa rin ang oak tree na itinanim ng royal ancestor ni King Carl sa Windsor Great Park. Ang nasabing ceremonial tree planting ay bahagi ng second anniversary ng British monarch coronation na ipinagdiwang sa May 6. Sa ibang balita ay tinampok ng maraming mga cosplayer sa Peru ang kanilang mga costumes sa annual Lima Comic Event. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, layo ng event na ito na magkaroon ng interaksyon sa pagitan ng mga cosplayers para kanilang ibahagi ang pag-ibig nila sa comic books at films. Makikita sa event ang mga cosplayer na pinaportray ang mga paborito nilang mga karakter sa Star Wars, Spider-Man at iba pang mga fictional characters. Inaasahan na magpapatuloy ang event hanggang May the 4th.
Nagsagawa naman ng malawakang march sa mga Dachshunds sa Hungary. Nagtipon-tipon ang nasa 500 Dachshunds sa Budapest City Park para makilahok sa pinakamalaking single-breed dog walk ng bansa. Inobserbahan naman ng Hungarian Records Association upang makapasok ang naturang mass dog walk sa official records ng bansa. Ang Dachshund ay kilala din bilang wiener dog o sausage dog at isa sa pinakasikat na dog breed sa Europa, kung saan ang German city ng Regensburg ang tumatayong kapital ng naturang dog breed. Noong nakaraang taon din ay sa Regensburg nagtipon-tipon ang 897 Dachshund breed upang talunin ang Guinness World Record para sa largest single breed walk. At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Happy weekend everyone! Ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores na bumabati rin po ng happy weekend sa inyong lahat. Ito po ang mata ng Agila International para naman sa mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Punta naman tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa NET25 World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. A shocking scene in Osaka where a 28-year-old man was arrested after police say he deliberately drove his car into a group of elementary school children.
I heard from my child that the cars ran over the kids in front of my child.
A brewing political controversy surrounds a government investigation into water utility Prime Water. At the center, accusations of harassment and political maneuvering.
We cannot expect anything nice or any nice word from the Vice President in favor of the President.
Dahil lahat naman ng galawan ngayon ng administrasyon ay dahil sa politika.
And the news starts now. A shocking scene in Osaka where a 28-year-old man was arrested after police say he deliberately drove his car into a group of elementary school children. A 28-year-old man was arrested after deliberately driving his car into a group of 7 elementary school kids in Osaka. Japanese broadcaster NTV reports the suspect is from Higashimurayama City in Tokyo and is currently unemployed. According to investigators, the man confessed, saying he was fed up with everything and decided to try to kill someone, specifically the young students walking home from school.
I heard from my child that the cars ran over the kids in front of my child. My child saw the accident happen right in front of her.
The group included 5 second graders and 2 third graders, all just heading home for the day.
The car was apparently driving slowly and unsteadily. It came slowly and pulled over. My child said the car kept going even when the kids were caught in between the car and another object. The car ran over a couple of kids, but apparently kept going.
Thankfully, all 7 kids are conscious after being rushed to the hospital. 1 second-grade girl suffered a serious injury, a broken jaw, but the others are being treated for minor injuries. Police say the suspect didn't try to flee and was taken into custody at the scene. It's a disturbing incident that's left the local community shaken, as attacks like this are extremely rare in Japan. For now, the focus is on the children's recovery, while investigators try to piece together exactly what led up to this terrifying event. A brewing political controversy surrounds a government investigation into water utility Prime Water. At the center, accusations of harassment and political maneuvering. Take a look. The Local Water Utilities Administration, or LWUA, has officially launched an investigation into Prime Water Infrastructure Corporation, owned by the family of former Senator Manny Villar. And this comes after widespread customer complaints of long water service interruptions and low water pressure. However, Vice President Sara Duterte has sharply criticized the investigation, alleging it is politically motivated. Prime Water is owned by the Villar family, whose daughter, House Deputy Speaker Camille Villar, is currently running for senator. The Vice President has publicly endorsed her candidacy, adding fuel to the accusations of political targeting. Malacanang has strongly denied any political motivation behind the probe.
We cannot expect anything nice or any nice word from the Vice President in favor of the President and of the present administration. She will always use that excuse or defense of pamumulitika without really answering or responding directly to the issues.
Malamang, dahil lahat naman ng galawan ngayon ng administrasyon ay dahil sa politika. So wala na akong nakita na gumawa ng administrasyon na ito para sa kapayapaan at kaunlaran ng ating bayan. Kundi lahat ay pag-atake lang sa politika at sa mga tao, hindi nila kaya takutin at hindi nila kaya dindin.
Big changes in D.C. President Trump just shook up his national security team, booting Mike Waltz and tapping Marco Rubio for a dual role. A major factor in Mike Waltz's ousting was a controversy involving a Signal app chat. He mistakenly included journalist Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic in a conversation containing sensitive military information regarding potential strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. Take a look.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday ousted his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, and named Secretary of State Marco Rubio as his interim replacement. The move is the first major shakeup of Trump's inner circle since he took office in January. In a social media post, Trump said he would be nominating Waltz to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. In March, Waltz, a former Republican lawmaker from Florida, was caught up in a Signal app scandal involving top Trump national security aides. Waltz was blamed for accidentally adding the editor of The Atlantic magazine to a private thread describing details of an imminent U.S. bombing campaign in Yemen. The Atlantic reported on the mishap. Here's Trump's response to the scandal at the time.
Well, yeah, Mike Waltz, I guess he said he claimed responsibility, I would imagine. Had nothing to do with anyone else. It was Mike, I guess. I don't know. I was told it was Mike. But again, the attacks were unbelievably successful, and that's ultimately what you should be talking about, I think. Mike took responsibility for it.
The National Security Advisor is a powerful role that does not require Senate confirmation. Trump's selection of Rubio to replace Waltz temporarily will be the first time since Henry Kissinger in the 1970s that one person held both the positions of Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. Two sources tell Reuters that Waltz's deputy, Alex Wong, is also leaving his post. The Waltz ouster caps a month of personal turmoil within Trump's national security establishment. Since April 1st, at least 20 National Security Council staffers have been fired.
So he wasn't let go. He is being made ambassador to the United Nations, which of course is a Senate-confirmed position. I think you can make a good argument that it's a promotion. But we brought Mike on to do some serious reforms of the National Security Council. He has done that. I like Mike. I think he's a great guy. He's got the trust of both me and the president. But we also thought that he'd make a better UN ambassador as we get beyond this stage. I think the media wants to frame this as a firing. Donald Trump has fired a lot of people. He doesn't give them Senate-confirmed appointments afterwards. What he thinks is that Mike Waltz is going to better serve the administration, most importantly, the American people in that role, and I happen to agree with him. If the president wanted to fire him over the Signal thing, which, by the way, was a total nothing burger of a story, he would have just done it. But he actually decided it's better for Mike to be in this new
Even tech giants like Apple aren't immune to global trade tensions. The company just announced they're dialing back their big share buyback plan a bit. CEO Tim Cook pointed straight at tariffs as a reason, saying it could cost them close to $1 billion this quarter alone.
Apple is battening down the hatches as it faces U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. On Thursday, CEO Tim Cook said in an earnings call tariffs are expected to cost an extra $900 million this quarter. The company is trying to shift its huge supply chain, and Cook warned that efforts to spend more in the U.S. will mean real costs hitting Apple's balance sheet. The Cupertino-based tech giant plans to spend $500 billion over the next 4 years to expand its U.S. footprint. Cook said the company already sources 19 billion chips from a dozen U.S. states and will be expanding its own facilities. He also said Apple is building a stockpile of products, saying, for example, most of the iPhones sold in the US this quarter will come from India, not China, and that most iPads, Macs, and Apple Watches to be sold in the US will come from Vietnam, while China will continue to produce most of the Apple products for markets outside the US. And on Thursday, in the face of trade war costs, Apple says it trimmed about $10 billion from its share buyback program. Analysts say the moves show Apple, one of the most profitable companies in the history of business, is hoarding cash as it moves into uncharted waters. For now, the trade war has not been a problem for Apple's sales. Its latest results were better than expected by Wall Street at some $95 billion. However, executives say they expect April, May, and June to only show Apple's revenue grow in the low to mid single digits.
We're getting reports of a tragic incident out of New Delhi. A powerful thunderstorm ripped through the city, and sadly, a family of 4 lost their lives when a tree came crashing down on their home. The storm packed a real punch, with winds hitting speeds of 70 to 100 kilometers per hour. It also brought heavy rain, the most Delhi has seen in May in several years, along with lightning. The city's chief minister has ordered immediate assistance for the affected family. The wild weather caused major disruptions across the capital. Flights at the Delhi airport were delayed due to poor visibility and flooding, while commuters faced delays on the metro and traffic jams in many areas. Experts have been warning about these kinds of extreme weather swings in densely populated cities, linking them to rising global temperatures, messing with the water cycle. Just last month, similar heavy rains caused devastation and heavy loss of life in other parts of India and Nepal. The spy game just got a whole lot more public. The CIA, America's top intelligence agency, has taken a rather direct approach in its efforts to gather secrets from China. They've just released a couple of Chinese language videos specifically designed to get officials within China to spill the beans to the U.S. This isn't the first time the CIA has tried this tactic. Back in October, they put out instructions online in multiple languages, including Chinese, on how to securely contact them, hoping to recruit informants in countries like China, Iran, and North Korea. They even said their efforts to get information from Russians had been successful. Now they're doubling down with these videos, confident they're reaching their intended audience despite China's tight internet controls. The short videos play out like mini-dramas. One features a high-ranking member of the Chinese Communist Party and the other a lower-level government with access to classified info. Both become disillusioned with the system and in the video decide to reach out to the CIA. The message seems to be aimed at anyone within the Chinese government who might be feeling discontent, especially after recent purges of top officials in Beijing. Predictably, China's embassy in Washington hasn't responded yet, but they've previously accused the U.S. of spreading lies and trying to create division. Meanwhile, U.S. intelligence agencies have consistently labeled China as the biggest military and cyber threat, highlighting their ability to strike the U.S. and even dominate in areas like AI. Imagine your morning commute suddenly grinding to a halt because of something totally unexpected. Well, that's the reality for hundreds of drivers in Australia right now. A truck spill has turned one of their major highways into absolute chaos. Take a look.
Now we know over 300 vehicles, or around about 300 vehicles, have been impacted, maybe more, by what now we know is over 700, maybe even 750 kilograms, 700 kilograms of metal debris from the back of a truck, which spread this metal debris for over 30 kilometres. As a result of that, the highway was closed as soon as possible once we got the right resources there about 6:30, and the highway is now obviously closed on a significant area. We're now working because once you clear it, other vehicle movement means that some of those shards spill over back onto lane 3. So we've changed our tactic. We're now working slowly at very reduced speeds, clearing and moving down. This is over 30 kilometres of roadway, unprecedented.
Staying in Australia, the country's upcoming election isn't just about political parties, it's about the rising influence of young voters. With millennials and Gen Z now forming 43% of the electorate, their choices could redefine the political landscape. Take a look.
This is my first time voting.
This is my first general election.
I'm a first-time voter.
This Saturday, millions of young voters will cast their vote, many for the first time in Australia's general election. The way they vote will be critical. Millennials and Generation Z voters now make up 43% of 18 million people enrolled under Australia's mandatory voting system, outnumbering baby boomers. The demographic shift has prompted both Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's centre-left Labour Party and the Conservative Liberal National Coalition, led by Peter Dutton, to target younger voters. They have used social media, podcasts, and memes to announce policies around student debt and housing. But some haven't been swayed by either side. Young voters in Australia, like those elsewhere, have grown up during a global pandemic, economic disruption, and the climate crisis. Reuters spoke to many of them who are disillusioned with Australia's two-party system and criticized the policies on both sides. Architecture student and first-time voter Jasmine is one of them.
Both major parties are ruling for the rich. I think the Labor Party have done nothing for ordinary people since they've been elected. I think, Peter Dutton would be worse, but I think there's no positive case for the Labor Party either.
A 2022 report by the Australian Election Study Group showed the lowest level of support for either major party in the organization's history among millennials and Generation Z voters. The AES says that trend has continued to accelerate in recent years. 18-year-old arts and science student Darcy worries not enough people know about Australia's unique preferential voting system that allows voters to rank their choices, which could encourage voting outside the two major parties.
And this means that a lot of young people will vote for Labor just so that doesn't come in, instead of voting for who they actually want to vote for, like a independent or the Greens.
According to recent polling from political consultancy Redbridge Group, Labor holds a 60% lead over the Liberal Party among millennials and Gen Z voters. The result of last year's U.S. presidential election also weighs heavily on the minds of young voters. Many, like arts student and first-time voter Jessica, are voting to try to ensure that Australia doesn't follow suit in a shift to the right.
It's heavily impacting the way that I'm viewing the current election, just in the sense of trying to avoid the situation that's happening over there. I feel like not as focused on the genuine politics in Australia as I am in simply avoiding the worst possible option.
And South Korea is grappling with a sudden and significant political shakeup. In a stunning turn of events, both the country's prime minister and finance minister have resigned in quick succession, leaving many South Koreans deeply concerned about who's in charge. Take a look. Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok had been expected to inherit the role of president and prime minister from midnight on Thursday after Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, who had also been serving as acting president, resigned. Han stepped down in order to announce his entry into the June 3rd presidential election.
Dear fellow citizens, I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for the 21st presidential election of the Republic of Korea.
Choi, who has played the leading role in the response to U.S. tariffs, abruptly resigned just before midnight on Thursday as Parliament was voting to impeach him over his earlier refusal as acting president to appoint a constitutional court judge. His abrupt departure has left Education Minister Lee Jae-ho next in line under the law to assume the acting presidency. On the streets of Seoul, residents expressed unease over this political uncertainty.
This country is somehow functioning like the movie Designated Survivor, and I wonder if any part of the government is actually taking responsibility. When the president steps down, the acting roles should naturally be filled. But when you look at each one, it kind of feels like they're abandoning their duties for the sake of the presidential election. I really hope the education minister can fill this gap responsibly.
Others expressed disillusionment with the broader state of politics.
It feels really nasty, honestly, the way society is now. Sometimes it seems like we're so divided between liberals and conservatives that there's no room for compromise. And we're just veering too far in one direction. As for me, I'm getting older, and, to be honest, I'm starting to feel like I want to leave this country. That's how disillusioned I've become.
The Asian country, which had been considered one of the most powerful success stories of democratic resilience, has faced months of political turmoil since former President Yoon Suk-yeol's ill-fated attempt to declare martial law late last year.
In the case of Choi Sang-mok, the former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Economy and Finance who has just stepped down, he was the one who went to the U.S. and conducted negotiations, right? But from the U.S. perspective, the fact that he resigned due to the impeachment attempt means they've now lost their counterpart. When it comes to things like tariff negotiations with the U.S., the first priority should have been making sure they don't come to a halt, not even for a moment, but they, the opposition party, just stayed quiet, and then suddenly, when the Supreme Court sent the case back for retrial with a guilty ruling of Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung, they announced that they would impeach Deputy Prime Minister Choi Sang-mok that very evening. Isn't that what ultimately led to this situation, a series of the resignations?
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building.
Trask Construction. Matatapang na mga komentaryo.
Tingin ng masa dito, this is just actually a ploy to weed out a person who potentially can actually win in 2028.
Mga balita at impormasyong hihimayin. Kasama ang mga batikang komentarista. Sina Ali Soto.
Hindi pa ako nakakapag-umpisa kong. Dahil aminado naman kayo, kalabisan din yung ginagawa ng ibang kasama nyo dyan.
At Pat P. Daza.
Desperado na siya. There's no way na makakapasok yung kanyang slate unless patayin itong 15.
Sa ASPN, ano sa palagay nyo? Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga, dito sa NET25.
Together sa NET25.
Japan and the United States are pushing forward with crucial trade talks in Washington as both countries look to resolve tensions over new American tariffs. Take a look. Japan's top economic negotiator Ryoji Akazawa met with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent for more than 2 hours on Thursday. After the meeting, Akazawa told reporters the talks focused on exporting trade, addressing non-tariff measures, and strengthening economic security.
I will refrain from giving details, but I can say that we were able to deepen our specific discussions on the expansion of trade between our two countries, on non-tariff measures and on cooperation in economic security.
The Japanese side once again called on the U.S. to reconsider its recent decision to impose sweeping tariffs on imports, many of which have been paused for 90 days. Akazawa expressed regret over the tariffs on Japanese automobiles that took effect April 3 and those on auto parts set to begin May 3.
Regarding the tariffs on automobiles that came into effect on April the 3rd and those on auto parts due to take effect on May the 3rd, we regret those measures and have requested that they be reviewed, or in the case of the tariffs on parts, that they be reviewed ahead of coming into force.
Akazawa warned that the tariffs are already having a serious impact on Japanese automakers.
Japanese automakers are in a situation where one such company is losing $1 million every hour. It is difficult to say more on this, but we will work carefully and diligently to protect our national interests. We are making every effort to achieve a win-win outcome as soon as possible and are making it a top priority to reach a conclusion that is beneficial, both for Japan and the United States.
Akazawa confirmed that foreign exchange and national security issues were not discussed in this round. Both sides are expected to meet again for a third round of talks after mid-May, as Japan continues to push for a resolution that protects its industries and strengthens economic ties with the U.S. Ever dreamt of stepping right into the world of your favorite Japanese anime or manga? Well, just outside of Tokyo, that fantasy is becoming a reality. Imagine dressing up in a classic school uniform and experiencing a day as a Japanese student. Calligraphy, lessons, and all. Take a look.
A tourism boom has seen millions flock to Japan in recent years, whether for cherry blossoms, low prices thanks to a weak yen, or a love for all things Japanese animation. And what's the most anime place of all? Perhaps a Japanese high school. Here at this former school southeast of Tokyo, you can be a student for a day, just like in Jujutsu Kaisen or Slam Dunk, while bowing to your teacher, practicing calligraphy, and wearing those trademark sailor-style outfits.
The uniforms really helps with the whole immersion experience. The teacher is really in character, and just being able to do it with my friends makes the whole experience super fun.
At Kimino High School, for a cool $245, you can also clean your classroom and serve school lunch to your classmates, just like real Japanese students do. Repeat visitors in the tourism boom, like Jason Wu on his 10th trip to Japan, are seeking out more immersive experiences like this.
Based on the things I've seen in anime, in shows, things I've read, it felt pretty authentic. It got compressed into one day, which is kind of what you have to do. But I would say, yeah, I feel like I was in the shoes of a high school student again in a different country.
The event fits nicely with plans by the government to coax visitors into the countryside and away from Tokyo and Kyoto, both now dealing with over-tourism. It's also an opportunity born of another trend, Japan's aging society. That's according to the attraction's founder, Takaaki Yoneji.
Around 400 to 500 schools are closed down in Japan every year. In the old days, there were plenty of children, and they needed schools around the various regions. But the children are getting fewer, and a lot of schools are being abandoned. So the question of what to do with those schools is becoming a big issue.
Kimino was once Kameyama Middle School, but it shut down in 2020 as student numbers dwindled. According to official data, nearly 6,500 schools across the country have closed over the past 2 decades. Some, at least, are getting a new lease on life.
And still some NBA action. The New York Knicks are heading to the Eastern Conference semifinals after a thrilling Game 6 victory over the Detroit Pistons, 116-113. Jalen Brunson was the hero, sinking a tie-breaking three-pointer in the final seconds. Brunson led all scores with 40 points, capping off a Knicks 4-2 series win. Mikal Bridges added 25, and OG Anunoby chipped in 22 for New York, who will now face the Boston Celtics.
The Jalen shot, what can you say? You know, timely, you know, he's at his best when his best is needed. He's done it all year. That's what makes him special. But also, when you look at the contributions, Cat had 15 rebounds, a lot of tough plays that he made. And we needed Mikal and OG were phenomenal throughout. You know, and Josh is just playing, doing the things that he does, you know, and we needed all of it. So. And again, I say it all the time, it really comes from his preparation, and he has a lot of poise under pressure. And he's dealing with he gets a lot of attention. He's being trapped, and he knows how to move without the ball. He's obviously very clever with the ball, shifty, can get to the spots that he wants to get to, but he also knows how to move without the ball.
A ton of credit for what he was doing, you know, out there defensively, the effort that he put in. You know, he's guarding one of the most difficult matchups in the NBA. And, you know, again, you got to tip your hat to Brunson for creating the space, you know, finding his shot there at the end. But, you know, he's hard to guard, right? And the space that they play with and, you know, how he can generate space at his size is remarkable. And, again, I thought Asar did a great job on him. He just did what he does and made the one more.
A hard-fought series ends with the Knicks moving on, and we'll have more on their upcoming matchup. And with that, we end tonight's news broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, thank you for joining us. I'm Alma Angeles. Have a great weekend. Good night.
This program